A bright July afternoon in 1989, passengers settle into their seats aboard United Airlines Flight 232. Flight attendants assist families, businessmen, children with toys. The hum of engines fills the air and sunlight pours through oval windows. In the cockpit, Captain Haynes adjusts his headset with calm precision while First Officer Bill Rickards and Flight Engineer Dudley Dvorak run through their checklists. Everything seems ordinary. The flight from Denver to Chicago is routine, the sky clear, the weather mild. Haynes glances at his crew and smiles, a man seasoned by years in the air. "All right, gentlemen, Flight 232, Denver to Chicago, onward to Philadelphia. Clear skies. Let's make it smooth." Dvorak checks gauges and says, "All systems normal." Hydraulics green. The engines roar and the massive DC-10 lifts effortlessly into the sky. The passengers relax as the plane climbs over the Midwest. Children giggle. A mother soothes her baby. A businessman unfolds a newspaper. A teenage boy peers at the clouds as they pass like soft white mountains. Time drifts. Coffee is poured. A flight attendant named Susan White moves through the aisle offering drinks. Her voice is friendly and calm. "Can I get you something to drink?" she asks a man by the window. "Just water, thanks," he replies. Everything feels steady, safe, routine. Above the endless patchwork of green farmland, the DC-10 hums like a mechanical lullaby. Then, at 3:16 in the afternoon, without warning, a thunderous explosion rips through the tail of the aircraft. The cabin shakes violently. Cups fly. People gasp. The sound is deafening, like metal tearing itself apart. In the cockpit, alarms blare. "What the hell was that?" Rickards shouts. "Number 2 engine failure." Dvorak answers. Lights flash red across the panel. Haynes grips the controls. "Shut it down," he orders. Dvorak moves swiftly, cutting fuel to the tail engine. The noise dies slightly, but the plane feels wrong. Rickards says, "Controls feel heavy." "Trim's gone weird." Haynes frowns. "Check hydraulics." Dvorak scans his instruments, his face draining of color. "Captain, we've lost all hydraulics." Haynes stares in disbelief. All 3 systems," Dvorak replies. "Pressure's 0. Nothing's moving fluid." Rickards pulls the yoke. Nothing responds. "We can't steer," he says. The plane begins a slow right roll. Haynes says, "Throttle back the right engine." Dvorak moves the lever, and the roll slows. The exchange look astonished that thrust alone affects direction. "We've got partial control," Haynes says grimly. "Engines only." "That's barely control at all," Rickards mutters. In the cabin, the passengers feel the plane dip and sway. Overhead bins rattle. A baby cries. Susan steadies herself and speaks through a forced smile. "Ladies and gentlemen, please remain seated. Everything is under control." She doesn't believe her own voice. Back in the cockpit, Haynes breathes deeply. Nearest airport? Dvorak checks the map. Sioux City's closest with a long enough runway. Haynes nods. "Let's get in touch." Rickards radios air traffic control. "Sioux City Center. United 232 Heavy. We've lost all hydraulics. Need emergency assistance." The controller hesitates. "United 232, say again?" Haynes takes over. "We've lost all hydraulic systems. No control surfaces. We're controlling with engines only." A long silence, then the calm professional voice returns. "Roger 232. We'll clear you direct to Sioux City. Runway 22 is ready. Emergency crew standing by." "Appreciate it," Haynes replies. "We'll need all the help we can get." The crippled plane drifts through a wide right-hand spiral, unable to fly straight. The torn tail engine leaves shimmering vapor behind. Inside, the crew works feverishly. The yokes are useless, so they improvise, modulating thrust between the left and right wing engines to turn and level the aircraft. "We're descending at about 2,000 feet per minute," Rickards notes. "At this rate we'll be short," Haynes says quietly. "We'll see how far we can stretch it." Suddenly a knock at the cockpit door. A man enters, steady but tense. "Captain Haynes." "Danny Fitch. I'm a DC-10 instructor, deadheading back home." "Heard what happened?" Haynes nods quickly. "We've lost all hydraulics. No flight controls." "Mind if I help manage the throttles?" "Be my guest." Fitch slides into the jump seat, Scanning gauges with expert eyes, he grasps the throttle quadrant like an old friend. "We can maybe use differential thrust to hold pitch and roll," he says. "Maybe." Outside the windows, Iowa farmland drifts beneath them in circles, the plane gradually descending. In the cabin, Susan and her fellow attendants move through aisles, securing loose items, checking belts, explaining calmly that they will attempt an emergency landing. "When you hear a brace, place your head down and arms over your head," she instructs. Some passengers pray, others hold hands in silence. A father pulls his daughter close, a nun murmurs Hail Marys. The teenage boy stares out the window, eyes wide but strangely calm. 40 minutes pass. The engines are their only lifeline. The right one stronger, always pulling the aircraft slightly right, forcing the crew into a continuous slow spiral. Sioux City controllers watch on radar as the plane circles, bleeding altitude. Fire trucks, ambulances, and rescue crews prepare along the runways. At 4 o'clock they see Ida United 232 descending, smoke trailing faintly from the tail. "We're still right wing low," Fitch says. "If we come in like this, we'll cartwheel." Dvorak squints through the window. "Runway in sight, 10 miles. Record says, we're high and fast." Haynes answers, "Can't slow her much without losing lift. Keep her steady." The controller's voice comes again. "United 232, you are cleared to land any runway. The field is yours." Haynes forces a wry smile. "Roger that. We'll take whatever we hit first." They exchange grim glances, but there's determination in the cockpit. Fitch works the throttles with delicate precision. "Left engine down a bit, right up a broken bar. OK. Nose is dropping a broken bar now. Back off right a broken bar." The plane wobbles but stays roughly aligned. "Easy, easy," Haynes mutters. The horizon wavers. Below them, fire trucks flash red along the runway. In the cabin, Susan's voice cuts through the roar. "Brace, brace, brace." Passengers bend forward, arms over heads. Some whisper prayers, others cry openly. The plane roars lower and lower, its engines unevenly screaming. Haynes watches the altimeter spin down. 500 feet a broken bar, 300 a broken bar. Fitch adjusts the throttle one last time. Left engine back, right up a hair. The ground rushes toward them. "Here we go," Haynes says. The impact is instant and catastrophic. The right wing strikes first, tearing away in a burst of flame. The aircraft flips violently, the fuselage shattering into pieces as it cartwheels across the runway and into a cornfield. Fireballs roll skyward. For a moment there is only blackness and silence. Then faint cries, the hiss of escaping air, crackling fire. The wreckage burns in fragments across the field. Emergency vehicles race in, foam cannons blasting white plumes across flames. Rescuers shout, "We've got survivors here. Get stretchers." Smoke fills the sky. In the broken fuselage, Susan stirs awake, dazed and bleeding. She hears a child crying nearby. "Come on, sweetie," she says, pulling the girl through a jagged hole. They stumble out into daylight and collapsing foam. Firefighters rush toward them. "This way." Someone shouts. The girl clings to Susan's hand as they run. In another section, medics pull Captain Haynes from the debris. He's conscious, groaning, face streaked with blood. A paramedic kneels beside him. "Hang on, Captain, you did everything you could." Haynes rasps, "How many made it?" The medic hesitates. "Too early to tell, but a lot more than anyone expected." Haynes closes his eyes, relief mixing with pain. The field becomes an orchestrated chaos of sirens, shouts, and courage. Firefighters fight blazes beside broken engines. Volunteers carry the wounded. Doctors improvise triage zones in the grass. Reporters arrive by evening, cameras capturing smoke and heartbreak. United Flight 232 crash-landed this afternoon after losing all hydraulics mid-flight, a journalist narrates into a microphone. Against all odds, many passengers survived what experts call an unsurvivable accident. Later that night in Sioux City Hospital, Haynes lies in a bed, arm bandaged, eyes heavy. A nurse enters quietly. "Captain, there's a young man who wants to see you." Haynes nods weakly. The teenage boy from the flight limps in, holding flowers. "Sir, thank you. You saved my life." Haynes manages a faint smile. "We all did our part, Son, the boy's eyes glisten. Still, thank you. When he leaves, Haynes stares out the window at the blinking lights of ambulances fading into the distance. He whispers, "Thank you, God." Days later, investigators comb through the wreckage. They find the tail engine fan disc torn apart, pieces scattered miles away. Engineers in a hangar examine the cracked metal. Fatigue fracture in the fan hub, one says. Tiny crack grew over time. When it failed, shrapnel severed all 3 hydraulic lines. Another shakes his head. They had no controls left, and yet they brought it down almost in one piece. The National Transportation Safety Board calls it one of the most extraordinary feats of airmanship ever recorded. Weeks pass. Reporters ask Captain Haynes what kept him calm. He answers simply, "Teamwork." Everyone did their job. Nobody panicked. "We just kept trying." When asked if he considers it a miracle, he pauses. "I think it was people doing the best they could under impossible circumstances." But yes, maybe there was a little miracle in Sioux City. In simulators, other pilots try to replicate the event. Every attempt ends in failure before reaching the runway. One instructor shakes his head. "No one can land it, not once." Another says quietly, "Except Haynes and his crew." Word spreads through aviation circles. Flight 232 becomes legend, a case study in calm under pressure. The surviving passengers form lifelong bonds, remembering those who didn't make it but cherishing the improbable second chance they were given. Years later, in a quiet Sioux City park, a memorial stands surrounded by trees and flowers. The names of the 112 who perished are etched in stone beside a plaque honoring the 184 survivors. Families gather each July. Children now grown place wreaths. Survivors embraced like family. Susan stands beside Haynes, older now, gray hair under the summer sun. "Hard to believe it's been so long," she says. Haynes nods slowly. "Feels like yesterday." "Every sound, every face." "You gave them a chance," she tells him. "That's what matters." He says nothing, just looks up at the sky, eyes glistening. The wind stirs through the memorial garden. Far above, a jet crosses the sunset horizon, contrails glowing gold. Haynes watches it until it fades. His voice echoes softly in memory. "We never really control everything up there. We just do our best, and trust that sometimes, the sky will give us a little mercy." The scene fades as the orange light dims to dusk, the hum of distant engines blending with the whispering cornfields of Iowa, carrying with it the unspoken truth that courage, teamwork, and grace can turn even tragedy into a testament of human spirit. The sound of the wind rises, gentle and endless, as the world goes quiet once more.